Toby the tram engine is short and sturdy and has a coach called Henrietta. They enjoy their work on the island of Sodor. Every morning they'll take workmen to the quarry, and then they would pass James at the station. But James was rude whenever he saw them. "Ugh, what dirty objects," he would say. One morning, Toby lost patience. "James," he asked, "why are you red?" "I'm a splendid red engine," he replied. "Ready for anything. You'll never see my paint dirty." "Oh," said Toby, "that's why you once needed a bootlace, to be ready, I suppose?" James felt redder than ever and snorted off. It was such an insult to be reminded of the time he messed up pulling the coaches. At the end of the line, James left his coaches and got ready for his next train. It was a slow goods, stopping at every station to pick up and set down trucks. James hated slow goods. "Dirty trucks from dirty sidings," he grumbled. Starting with only a few, James picked up more and more trucks until he had a long line. At first, the trucks were behaving well, but James had bumped them so crossly that they knew they had to pay him out. Eventually, the train arrived at the top of Gordon's Hill. The train will usually stop here so the guard can pin down their brakes. This would stop the heavy trucks pushing the train down the hill too fast. James had had an accident on Gordon's Hill with the trucks before and should have remembered this. James should have stopped but was still rolling forwards. He was thinking about what he would say to Toby next. "Hurrah, hurrah!" said the trucks bumping into each other. James was sent flying down the hill. On, laughed the trucks. I've got to stop, wailed James. They thundered through the station and into the yards. Unfortunately for James, Dennis was shunting some tankers in the yards. Something sticky had splashed all over James. He was more dirty than hurt, but some of the tankers and trucks were broken to pieces. Soon, Toby and Percy arrived at the breakdown train to clean everything up. "Look, Percy," said Toby, "whatever is that dirty object?" "That's James, didn't you know?" "Well, it's James's shape," replied Toby, "but James is a splendid red engine. Never seen his paint dirty." James pretended like he hadn't heard. Toby and Percy cleared away the unhurt trucks, and then the two helped James home. Later, the two pulled into the sheds where the Fat Controller had been waiting. "Well done, Percy and Toby." He turned to James. "Fancy letting your trucks run away. I am surprised. You're not fit to be seen. You must be cleaned at once. Toby will have a new coat of paint. Chocolate and blue, I think." Chocolate. "Please, sir," said Toby, interrupting the Fat Controller's hungry thoughts. "Can Henrietta have one too?" "I don't see why not," said the Fat Controller. "She'll have a nice brown, just like Annie and Clarabelle." Toby was delighted, and ran off to go and tell Henrietta the good news. The next day, James was put back into working order, although his paintwork was still a little dirty, because they hadn't had the time to clean him all the way up. Toby and Henrietta, on the other hand, with their new coat of paint, sparkled in the sunshine. "Who's old-fashioned now?" said Toby, and before James could respond, he quickly shuffled out of the station.